The training room smelled like metal and old stone. Wu Park stood in line with 20 other cadets, waiting her turn at the ancient artifact. She wiped her sweaty palms on her uniform pants. The artifact looked like a smooth black panel mounted on the wall, covered in symbols nobody could read. Instructor Min walked along the line of cadets, his boots clicking on the floor. "This is a simple exercise," he said. "Touch the panel, let it scan you, record what it says, that's all." Wu watched as each cadet ahead of her placed their hand on the black surface. The panel glowed faintly blue, symbols flickered across it, and then the same words appeared every time in standard galactic script. Access level, none. A cadet with purple skin touched it. Access level, none. A human boy named went next. He grinned at Wu before touching the panel. Access level, none. "See," Min said, "the artifact is dead. It hasn't worked in thousands of years. We're just cataloging the response pattern." Wu knew the official story. The precursors were an ancient race that disappeared 1,000,000 years ago. They left artifacts on thousands of planets, but none of them truly worked anymore. The current galactic civilization studied them, put them in museums, and learned nothing useful from them. Humanity had joined the galactic community only 50 years ago. Earth was considered a backwater planet with almost no precursor ruins. The elder races, the Empire, the Hive Collective, the nomadic fleets, barely paid attention to humans. Too new, too weak, too unimportant. Wu had grown up hearing that message. She was an orphan from the Sol Sector colonies. Her parents died in a mining accident when she was 6. She'd been raised in military schools because the government paid for orphan education. She wasn't special. She was just another cadet trying to graduate and get a decent assignment. "Cadet Park, you're next," Min said. Wu stepped forward. The black panel was warm under her fingers. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the warmth became heat. The symbols on the panel started spinning, changing, rearranging themselves faster and faster. Instructor." Wu tried to pull her hand away, but it felt stuck to the surface. The other cadets backed away. Min moved closer, his hand going to his sidearm. "Park, what are you doing?" "I'm not doing anything." The heat was uncomfortable now, spreading up her arm. The symbols suddenly stopped moving. They rearranged into perfect Korean characters. Wu could read them as clearly as if they were printed in a textbook. "Access level creator. Welcome home, architect." The room went silent. Every cadet stared at the panel. The Korean words glowed bright white, so different from the faint blue they'd seen before. Then the panel released Wu's hand, and she stumbled backward into. "What did it say?" someone asked. Min was already on his communicator. "Security, this is Instructor in Training Wing 7. We have a Class A activation event. Lock down the wing immediately." Red lights started flashing. Metal doors slammed shut over the exits. Wu's heart pounded in her chest. "I didn't mean to, I just touched it like everyone else." "Nobody's blaming you, Park," Min said, but his face was pale. "Just step away from the artifact and stay calm." The panel was still glowing. As Wu moved away, the Korean words faded, replaced by script after script, hive notation, nomad symbols, languages she'd never seen before. The artifact was cycling through every known language in the galaxy, repeating the same message over and over. Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. The doors opened and armored security officers rushed in, weapons ready. Behind them came someone Wu recognized from academy briefings, Overseer, the administrator of the entire training facility. His compound eyes gleamed as he looked from Wu to the panel and back again. "Explain," he said in his clicking voice. Min saluted. The cadet touched the artifact during routine training. It activated and displayed a message in her native language. The message claimed she has creator-level access. His mandibles twitched. Creator-level access is a myth, a legend from old precursor texts. No artifact has ever displayed such a message. Well, this one just did, Min said. He looked at Wu with something like pity. I saw it myself. The overseer approached Wu slowly. Cadet Park, have you ever encountered precursor technology before? No, sir, only in textbooks. Has anyone in your family worked with precursor artifacts? I don't know, sir. My parents died when I was young. I don't know much about my family history. Made a chittering sound. How convenient. He turned to the security officers. Take her to detention, full biometric scan, DNA analysis, background investigation. I want to know everything about this human. Sir, Min stepped forward. Cadet Park is one of my students. I can vouch for her character. She's never caused any trouble. Until now, said. This is not a punishment, instructor. This is a security measure. If she truly activated a precursor artifact, we need to understand how and why. Wu felt hands on her arms as the security officers led her toward the door. She looked back at, who looked worried and confused. The other cadets whispered to each other, staring at her like she was a stranger. The detention cell was small and white and very clean. Wu sat on the metal bench and tried not to panic. Through the transparent wall, she could see officers walking past, looking at her like she was a dangerous animal in a zoo. A medical team came first. They took blood samples, skin samples, hair samples. They scanned her with devices she didn't recognize. They asked her questions about her health, her family, her childhood. Wu answered everything honestly because she had nothing to hide. Then came the interrogators. Human officers asked her about her loyalty to Earth. Alien officers asked her about her knowledge of precursor technology. Everyone asked her why the artifact activated for her. I don't know, Wu said for the 100th time. I touched it like everyone else. I didn't do anything different. Hours passed, maybe days. It was hard to tell in the white cell with no windows. Wu slept in short bursts on the bench. She ate the food they brought her. She answered the same questions over and over. Finally, Min came to visit her. He looked tired. How are you holding up? I'm scared, Wu admitted. What's going to happen to me? Min sat down on the bench beside her. The galaxy is freaking out, Park. News of the activation leaked somehow. Now every major government knows that a human cadet activated a precursor artifact with a message that's never been seen before. The Galactic Council is calling emergency sessions. Ships are arriving at the Academy from a dozen different systems. But why? It's just an old artifact. It doesn't even do anything. It activated for you, Min said quietly. That means something. The precursors don't activate their technology randomly. If it recognized you as a creator, as an architect, then you're connected to them somehow. He paused. Wu, they found something in your DNA. Something that doesn't match any known species. Something artificial. Something very, very old. Wu felt cold all over. What does that mean? It means you're not just a normal human, Min said. It means someone engineered your ancestors a long time ago, and now we need to figure out why. Outside the cell, alarms started blaring again. Min stood up quickly, his hand going to his communicator. Wu could hear shouting in the corridor, the sound of running feet. What's happening? She asked. Min listened to his communicator, his face growing grim. Another activation event, on a precursor site 3 systems away. It happened the moment your DNA scan was uploaded to the central database. He looked at Wu with something like fear. You didn't just activate one artifact, Park. You activated all of them. The conference room was crowded with important people. Wu sat at a long table surrounded by scientists, military officers, and government officials from half a dozen different species. She felt very small and very young. Dr. Boras Song, a human geneticist with kind eyes, stood at the front of the room with a holographic display. The DNA anomalies are undeniable, she said. Cadet Park has non-coding sequences that match no known genetic database. These sequences are artificial, precisely engineered, and at least 50,000 years old. An admiral with silver skin leaned forward. 50,000 years, but humans have only existed as a spacefaring species for 50 years. Exactly, Bora said, which means someone modified human genetics long before we left Earth, long before we even had civilization as we know it. The overseer clicked his mandibles. The precursors, they engineered her bloodline. Not just her bloodline, Bora continued. We've started scanning the human population. These sequences appear in roughly 1 in every million humans. Most never activate, but they're there, waiting. Wu raised her hand like she was in class. Everyone turned to look at her. What are they waiting for? She asked quietly. That's what we need to find out, said a new voice. A tall human man in diplomatic robes entered the room. Min, standing guard by the wall, straightened immediately. Father, he said. Ambassador Sangwoo nodded to his son before addressing the room. I've been authorized by Earth's government to propose an expedition. There's a sealed precursor vault on Titan 7, a dead moon in the outer territories. It's been locked for. We believe Cadet Park might be able to open it. Made a harsh sound. You want to give this untested human access to more precursor technology? That's madness. We're already past the point of caution, Sangwoo said calmly. Artifacts are activating across the galaxy. We need to understand what's happening before this situation spirals out of control. The Admiral nodded slowly. I agree with the human ambassador. Knowledge is better than ignorance. 2 days later, Wu found herself on a military transport ship heading toward Titan 7. Min came with her as her guard. So did, who had volunteered to be part of the security team. Dr. Bora Song was there to monitor Wu's health, and there were a dozen scientists and soldiers from various species, all watching Wu like she might explode at any moment. Sat down next to her in the mess hall. Hey, he said, you okay? I don't know, Wu said honestly. She pushed her food around on her plate. A week ago I was just a normal cadet. Now everyone treats me like I'm a bomb. You're not a bomb, said. You're my friend that hasn't changed. Wu felt tears prick her eyes. Thanks. Besides, grinned, being friends with the person who can open ancient alien vaults has to be worth something, right? Despite everything, Wu laughed. The dream started that night. Wu saw things that couldn't be real. Vast construction projects spanning entire star systems, machines the size of planets, and always a voice calling to her in a language she shouldn't understand but did. The last seed, the voice said. The final architect, wake up, remember. She woke up gasping, covered in sweat. Dr. Bora was immediately there with scanners. Your brain activity is off the charts, she said. What were you dreaming about? Wu tried to explain, but the images were already fatting like smoke. Building something, she said. Something huge, and a voice calling me. Bora made notes on her tablet. The genetic sequences might be activating neurological pathways, unlocking memories that aren't yours. How can I have memories that aren't mine? Genetic memory, Bora said. Information encoded in your DNA. The precursors might have been advanced enough to store experiences at the genetic level. Titan 7 was a airless rock orbiting a gas giant. The precursor vault was built into the side of a crater, a massive door of black metal that had resisted every attempt to open it for the last 300 years. Wu stood before the door in an environmental suit, her breath loud in her helmet. The scientific team watched from a safe distance. Min stood beside her, weapon ready even though there was nothing to shoot. Just touch it, Dr. Bora said through the radio, like you did with the training artifact. Wu reached out with one gloved hand. The moment she made contact, the door responded. Lines of light spread across its surface like glowing veins. Symbols appeared, rearranged themselves into Korean. Security protocols recognized. Welcome, architect. Vault systems coming online after 953,000 years of dormancy. The door split down the middle and swung inward. Air rushed out, ancient and stale. Lights flickered on inside, revealing a corridor that stretched down into the moon's crust. It worked, someone breathed over the radio. Wu stepped inside. The corridor walls were lined with screens, all of them lighting up as she passed. Information scrolled across them in dozens of languages, but Wu could read all of it somehow. Schematics, star maps, instructions for technologies that shouldn't exist. At the end of the corridor was a chamber. In the center floated a crystal sphere, glowing with soft blue light. As Wu approached, the sphere pulsed, and suddenly information flooded into her mind. She saw the truth of the precursors. They hadn't vanished. They had transformed themselves, uploaded their consciousnesses into vast computer networks, and seeded the galaxy with air species. Each species was engineered with different strengths. They were given enhanced empathy to be diplomats and healers. The nomads were given perfect spatial awareness to be explorers. The Hive Collective was given coordination to be builders of massive projects. And humans were given creativity, adaptability, the ability to solve problems in unexpected ways. They were meant to be the architects, the designers, the ones who could see solutions no one else could imagine. But humanity was supposed to awaken last, after all the other air species had already met and begun cooperating. Something had gone wrong. Humanity had been triggered too early. Wu gasped and pulled away from the sphere. She fell to her knees, her mind reeling with the flood of information. Min was beside her immediately. "Park, what happened?" I know," Wu struggled to find words. "We're not alone, there are others. Other species with precursor modifications. We're all part of a plan." Dr. Bora's voice crackled over the radio. "Wu, your vital signs are dangerously elevated. We need to get you out of there." But Wu wasn't listening. She was staring at the data scrolling across the walls. Weapon schematics, defense systems, ships that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months, medical technology that could cure any disease, energy sources that never depleted. "This is too much," she whispered. "This much knowledge, this much power, if the wrong people get this." The sphere pulsed again and a voice filled the chamber. Not the voice from her dreams, but something older, more mechanical. "Warning, activation detected. Galactic network alerted. Multiple air species now aware. Convergence protocol initiated. Time until full awakening, 30 standard days." "What does that mean?" Min demanded. Wu stood up slowly. "It means we just announced to the entire galaxy that the precursor inheritance is real, and now everyone is going to want it." Back on the ship, Wu sat in the briefing room while the scientists analyzed the data they'd recovered. Ambassador Sang-Woo listened to her report via hologram, his face grave. "The Council is already falling apart," he said. "They want to form an alliance with us to study the vaults together. The Hive Collective is demanding you be turned over to them for the safety of the galaxy. The nomads are staying neutral, and there are rumors of smaller factions preparing military action." "Against who?" Wu asked. "Against Earth," Sang-Woo said quietly. "Against humanity. There are species who believe that if they can't have the precursor knowledge, no one should." Min's hand tightened on his weapon. "We can protect her." "Can we?" Sang-Woo looked at his son. "How many ships does humanity have compared to the Empire? How many soldiers compared to the Hive Collective? We're still the youngest species in the galaxy. We're not ready for this." Wu felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. "What if I just stopped? What if I don't open any more vaults?" "The activation has already started," Dr. Bora said gently. "Other vaults across the galaxy are coming online. Other air species are waking up. The process can't be stopped now." Spoke up from the back of the room. "Then we need to make sure we get to those vaults before anyone else does." Everyone looked at him. He shrugged. "What? If Wu is supposed to be an architect, let her build something good before the others build something terrible. Ambassador Sangwoo smiled slightly. The cadet has a point. He looked at Wu. The choice is yours, Cadet Park. Earth will support whatever you decide. Stay in protective custody and let others claim the precursor legacy, or take an active role in shaping what happens next. Wu thought about her dreams, about the voice calling her the last seed, about the vast potential she'd seen in the vault's data, and about the very real danger that knowledge could bring. I need time to think, she said. That night the dreams came back stronger, but this time she saw not just the past but a possible future, a galaxy united by shared knowledge, different species working together, each contributing their unique precursor gifts to build something greater than any could achieve alone. Or another future, war, species fighting over precursor vaults, technology used for conquest instead of creation, the same mistakes repeated. When she woke up, she knew what she had to do. She found Min on guard outside her quarters. I've made my decision, she said. I'm going to open the vaults, all of them, but not for Earth, for everyone. 3 weeks after opening the first vault, Wu had changed. She could feel it in her bones, in her blood, in the way her mind worked. When she touched precursor technology now, she didn't just activate it. She understood it. The complex energy matrices and quantum processors made perfect sense to her, like reading a book in her native language. Dr. Bora monitored these changes with growing concern. Your neural pathways are restructuring, she said, showing Wu brain scans. You're processing information 50 times faster than a normal human. Your reflexes have doubled. You're barely sleeping but showing no signs of fatigue. I feel fine, Wu said, and it was true. She felt better than fine. She felt awake for the first time in her life, like she'd been living in a fog before and now could finally see clearly. That's what worries me, Bora said. You're becoming something else, Wu, something beyond human. Wu looked at her hands. They looked normal, but she knew they could interface with technology that would kill anyone else who touched it. Am I still human? I think so, Bora said carefully. But you're also becoming what humans were always meant to be. The precursors designed your bloodline to awaken like this. They were in a research station orbiting a water world, studying the third vault Wu had opened. Each vault had given her more knowledge, more abilities. She could now read precursor script as easily as Korean. She could manipulate their technology with thought alone, and the dreams had become clearer, showing her the true scope of the precursor plan. Ambassador Sangwoo's hologram appeared in the lab. Wu, we have a situation. The Galactic Council has convened an emergency session. They're demanding your presence. Let me guess, Wu said. They want me to stop opening vaults. Some do, others want you locked up. A few want you dead. Sangwoo's face was grim. The Hive Collective is the loudest voice. Their military leader, Admiral, claims you're a threat to galactic stability. Min, who had been standing guard at the door, spoke up. She's one person. How is she a threat to an entire civilization? Because she can unlock weapons, Sangwoo said. The vaults don't just contain peaceful technology. There are war machines in there, ships, weapons. The precursors fought a massive civil war. Their weapons could destroy planets. Wu felt cold. She'd seen hints of those weapons in her visions, terrible things that bent space and time. I haven't opened any weapon vaults. They don't trust you to keep it that way, Sangwoo said. The council session is in 2 days. Earth's government believes you should attend. Show them you're not a threat. Answer their questions. And if they decide to lock me up anyway, then we'll have to make some very difficult decisions, Sangwoo said quietly. The Galactic Council met on a neutral space station called Unity Point. The main chamber was enormous, with seating for representatives from every major species. Wu stood in the center of the floor, alone, while thousands of eyes watched her from the rising tiers of seats. Ambassador Sangwoo sat with the human delegation, but he couldn't help her now. This was something Wu had to face herself. The council speaker, an ancient nomad with silver skin, called the session to order. We are here to address the matter of Cadet Wu Park and the activation of precursor technology. The council recognizes Admiral of the Hive Collective. The Admiral was a massive being, easily 3 times Wu's size. His voice boomed through the chamber. This human has activated technology that has been dormant for 1,000,000 years. She claims she's doing it for peaceful purposes, but we cannot take that risk. The precursors destroyed themselves with their own weapons. We cannot allow history to repeat. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. I propose that Cadet Park be placed in council custody, continued. All precursor vaults should be sealed and guarded by joint military forces. No single species should have access to this technology. And diplomats stood. The Empire disagrees. Knowledge should not be feared. We propose that Cadet Park work with a council-appointed team to study the vault safely. That's just another way of controlling her, called out a representative from one of the smaller species. Why should the council decide who gets precursor knowledge? The chamber erupted into argument. Wu stood in the center of it all, listening to dozens of species debate her fate like she wasn't even there. Some wanted to use her. Some wanted to imprison her. Some wanted to kill her. Finally, the speaker called for silence. Cadet Park, you have the right to address this council. What do you say? Wu took a deep breath. Her voice sounded small in the huge chamber, but it carried. I didn't ask for this. I touched an artifact during training and it changed my life, but I've learned some things since then. She paused, gathering her thoughts. The precursors made a mistake. They believed one species could have all the answers. They fought over who should rule the galaxy. They destroyed themselves because they couldn't cooperate. Exactly my point, said. We should not repeat their mistakes. I agree, Wu said, which is why I think the knowledge should be shared with everyone, not locked away or controlled by any single group, not even by me. The chamber went silent. That wasn't what anyone had expected her to say. Shared how? The speaker asked. The precursors engineered multiple air species, Wu explained. Not just humans. I've seen it in the vault data. There are others like me in other species. People who carry precursor modifications waiting to activate. We're all part of the same plan. There's no evidence of that, said. Then let me prove it, Wu said. Test your own populations. Test the nomads, everyone. Look for the genetic markers. I bet you'll find them. Ambassador Sangwu stood. Earth is willing to share all the genetic data we've gathered. We have nothing to hide. The diplomat nodded. The Empire will conduct its own testing. One by one, other species agreed to check their populations for precursor modifications. The session adjourned while this testing took place. Wu waited in a secure room with Min and, that was either very brave or very stupid, Min said. Probably both, Wu admitted. The results came back within hours, and they changed everything. The found modified individuals among their population. So did the nomads. So did a dozen other species. Not many, just a handful per million, but they were there. And when those individuals were brought to precursor artifacts, the artifacts activated for them too. But not the way they activated for Wu. Each species unlocked different aspects of the precursor legacy. And woman could interface with precursor medical technology. A nomad man could read star maps that showed routes through space no one else could navigate. A hive collective engineer could suddenly understand massive construction projects. The council reconvened in chaos. This changes the political balance of the entire galaxy, someone said. No, Wu said. It means we're all in this together. The precursors didn't pick one species to rule. They gave each species different pieces of the puzzle. We have to work together to see the whole picture. Stood again, but this time his voice was less certain. The Hive Collective has identified 3 modified individuals among our population. If what you say is true, they can unlock aspects of precursor technology that even you cannot. Exactly, Wu said. I can't do this alone, none of us can. The diplomat smiled. A logical approach. The Empire proposes a joint research initiative, all modified individuals from all species working together. Before the council could vote, alarms blared throughout the station. The speaker listened to an urgent message, his expression darkening. We're under attack, unknown ships emerging from. The chamber descended into panic. Wu ran to the nearest viewport and saw them. Sleek black ships bearing no markings, firing on the station's defenses. Who are they? Asked. Min checked his communicator. No identification, but their weapons technology is. It's precursor-based. Wu felt ice in her stomach. Someone already found a weapon vault. The station shook as a blast hit nearby. We need to evacuate, Min said, grabbing Wu's arm. But Wu pulled away. No, this is because of me. I need to stop this. She ran through the corridors, following instinct more than knowledge, until she found what she was looking for. A precursor power node built into the station's foundation. Most people didn't even know it was there, but Wu could feel it humming with dormant energy. She placed her hands on it and opened herself to the connection. The power was immense, dangerous, barely controlled. The station's precursor systems came online, defense grids that hadn't functioned in suddenly operational. Wu could see through the station's sensors. She could feel the attacking ships, understand their systems. With a thought, she activated countermeasures. Energy weapons fired from hidden ports. Shield generators protected the station from further hits. The attacking ships retreated, jumping away as quickly as they'd arrived. But the damage was done. Wu collapsed, drained from the effort. Blood dripped from her nose. Min caught her before she hit the floor. You're bleeding, he said, worried. I'm okay, Wu whispered, but she knew it was a lie. Using that much power had pushed her body to its limits. Dr. Bora examined her later in the medical bay. You could have killed yourself, she said angrily. Your brain activity went off the charts. Another few seconds and you would have burned out your neural pathways. But it worked, Wu said. I saved the station. And terrified everyone in the process, Sang-Woo said, entering the room. Half the council thinks you just proved point. You're too powerful, too dangerous. Wu closed her eyes. She tried to help and it had backfired. What happens now? Now Earth makes you an offer, Sang-Woo said. Come with us. We'll hide you, protect you. Let the council fight over the vaults without you. Run away, Wu asked. Survive, Sang-Woo corrected. Those ships came for you, Wu. Someone out there wants you dead or captured. The council can't protect you, not when half of them want to lock you up themselves. Min spoke quietly. My father's right, we have a ship ready, a team of our best soldiers. We can get you somewhere safe. Wu thought about the vision she'd seen, the future of cooperation and shared knowledge. That dream was slipping away, replaced by fear and violence. If I run, if I hide, then the only people opening vaults will be the ones who want to use them as weapons. Better than you being dead, said. Wu looked at her friends, at the people trying to protect her. Then she made her choice. I'm not running. I'm going to find every vault I can. I'm going to unlock this knowledge, and I'm going to share it whether the council likes it or not. Sang-Woo sighed. I was afraid you'd say that, he smiled slightly. My son is just as stubborn, must be a family trait. He looked at Min. Keep her alive. With my life, Min promised. The ship was called the Morning Star, a fast human vessel designed for stealth and speed rather than combat. Wu sat in her quarters, studying star maps that showed possible precursor vault locations. There were hundreds of them scattered across the galaxy, and she needed to reach them before anyone else did. Min knocked on her door. We're approaching the system. Intelligence says there's a vault on the third planet. How good is the intelligence? Wu asked. Stolen from Hive collective databases, said Captain, entering behind Min. She was a special forces operator, small and quiet but deadly. They've been mapping precursor sites for decades. We just borrowed their research. The team was small. Min led the security detail, piloted the ship despite still recovering from his injuries at the council station. Dr. Bora monitored Wu's health, and there were 6 other human soldiers, all volunteers who knew they were now fugitives from galactic law. The council declared us rogue operators, said. There's a bounty on our heads. Several species have sent hunter teams after us. How big a bounty? Called from the cockpit. Big enough that even friendly governments might betray us, said. Wu felt the weight of that responsibility. These people were risking everything because of her. You can still turn back, drop me somewhere and go home. Min shook his head. We made our choice, Park. We believe in what you're doing. The vault was buried under a frozen ocean. Wu descended in a submersible, watching strange alien fish scatter in the lights. The vault entrance was a geometric structure that didn't belong on this world, half buried in ancient ice. When Wu touched it, the vault opened like a flower blooming. Inside, she found schematics for energy systems that could power cities without fuel, medical devices that could regrow lost limbs, and communication technology that could send messages across the galaxy instantly. She also found something unexpected, a memory crystal containing a recorded message. When she activated it, a hologram appeared. It showed a being that looked almost human but wasn't quite. Its eyes were too large, its proportions slightly off. If you're seeing this, the activation has begun, the hologram said in a voice that made Wu's head ache. I am one of the curators, the last of the precursor peace faction. We lost the war, but we planted seeds for the future. You are one of those seeds. Wu watched as the hologram explained the truth. The precursors had split into 2 factions. One believed in guiding younger species gently. The other believed in ruling them as gods. The war destroyed both factions, but the peace faction had time to engineer air species before they died. We made a mistake, the curator said. We believed one species could be perfect. We were wrong, so we scattered our gifts among many species. Each has strengths. Together they can build what we could not. The message ended with coordinates to another vault, one the curator called the Prime Archive. This holds the complete precursor legacy, but it can only be opened by cooperation between multiple air species. Find the others. Work together. Don't repeat our mistakes. Wu returned to the ship with the vault's data downloaded into a portable drive. We need to find the other activated individuals, she told the team. The ones from different species. That's easier said than done, said. The council is keeping them under guard. They don't want anyone cooperating with you. But Wu had an idea. What if they came to us? She sent out a message on encrypted channels, using precursor communication protocols she'd learned from the vaults. The message was simple. To all those who carry the ancient gift, you are not alone. We can unlock the full legacy together. Meet me at these coordinates. She expected maybe a few responses. Instead, she got dozens. The meeting point was an abandoned mining station in neutral space. Wu waited nervously as ships arrived one by one. First came a woman named, who moved with unusual grace and whose eyes glowed faintly when she was emotional. She could sense the feelings of everyone around her, a gift that terrified and isolated her. I've been hiding this my whole life, said. When I was tested after your council speech, the government wanted to lock me away for study. I escaped. Then came in a young nomad whose sense of direction was so perfect he could navigate through without computers. I can see the paths, he said, touching his forehead, like lines of light connecting every point in space. It used to give me headaches. Now I understand what it means. Others arrived. A Hive collective engineer who could design structures of impossible complexity. a small species trader who could predict economic patterns with supernatural accuracy. A warrior from a species Wu had never heard of, whose reflexes were so fast she seemed to move in slow motion to everyone else. All of them were outcasts now, feared by their own governments, hunted by those who saw them as threats or prizes. "We're all in the same situation," Wu said as they gathered in the station's common area. "Our own people don't trust us. The council wants to control us, but we have something they don't. We can work together." "Why should we trust each other?" the warrior asked. "My people and the Hive Collective have been enemies for centuries." "Because the precursors designed us to cooperate," Wu said. She showed them the curator's message. "Alone, each of us is powerful. Together, we can unlock knowledge that could change the galaxy." Closed her eyes, sensing the emotions in the room. She's telling the truth. She genuinely believes in cooperation. And studied the coordinates to the Prime Archive. This location is inside a neutron star's gravity well. No normal ship could reach it. "But we're not normal," Wu said. "That's the point." They called themselves the Legacy Council, though they were really just a group of scared young people trying to understand their place in a galaxy that feared them. Together, they began combining their abilities. Wu could unlock vaults, could sense the emotional imprints left in precursor technology, understanding the intent behind each creation, and could navigate to locations others couldn't reach. The Hive engineer could build devices from precursor schematics faster than anyone thought possible. Over the next few weeks, they opened 7 more vaults together. Each discovery brought new knowledge, new abilities. Wu learned to share the information freely, broadcasting it on open channels so any species could access it. Earth's government took the data and began building precursor-designed medical clinics. The Empire used the communication technology to connect their colonies instantly. Even the Hive Collective, despite hunting Wu, couldn't resist using the clean energy system she released. "You're changing the galaxy whether they like it or not," Min said. But not everyone was happy about it. The attacks intensified. Unmarked ships ambushed them at 3 different vaults. Someone hacked their communication channels. Bounty hunters nearly captured when she went to buy supplies. The worst attack came at a vault on a gas giant's moon. The Legacy Council was inside, working together to decode a particularly complex precursor database, when Hive Collective military ships surrounded them. Admiral himself appeared on their communication screen. "Surrender peacefully and you will be treated fairly. Resist and we will destroy you. Check their weapons. We can't fight a Hive battle group. We're outnumbered 50 to 1. Wu looked at her friends, at the Legacy Council members who had trusted her. She couldn't let them die because of her choices. "I'll surrender," she said. "Let the others go." "No," said, "we stay together." "She's right," and agreed. "We're stronger together." His voice came from the cockpit. "I have an idea. It's crazy, but it might work." He explained quickly. The vault they were in contained transportation technology, short-range teleportation systems the precursors used to move between planets. If Wu could activate it, they could escape before the Hive ships could react. "I've never used precursor transportation before," Wu said. "I don't know if I can control it." "You have to try," Min said. Wu ran to the vault's central chamber and placed her hands on the transportation node. The energy was different from anything she'd felt before, wild and dangerous. She could feel it wanting to tear apart anything that used it. The Hive ships opened fire. The vault shook as weapons struck the moon's surface. Wu pushed deeper into the connection, letting the precursor knowledge flow through her. She saw the network of transportation nodes spanning the galaxy, ancient pathways between worlds. She chose one at random and activated the system. Light exploded around them. The Morning Star and all the Legacy Council members were caught in the transportation field. Space twisted, reality bent, and suddenly they were somewhere else. somewhere very far away. Wu collapsed, bleeding from her nose and ears. The effort had nearly killed her. Min caught her as she fell. "Where are we?" he asked. And checked the stars. The other side of the galaxy, thousands of light years from where we were. They'd escaped, but at a terrible cost. 2 of their soldiers had died in the attack. Was badly injured, his leg crushed when part of the ship buckled during the transportation, and Wu had pushed her abilities further than ever before. Dr. Bora examined her with shaking hands. "Your neural pathways are damaged. If you use that much power again, it could be permanent." Wu lay in her quarters, staring at the ceiling. She had saved them, but she'd proven right. She was dangerous. Her power could kill. "Came to visit her. I can feel your emotions," she said gently. "You're scared, not of them, of yourself." "I could have killed everyone," Wu whispered. "I didn't know if the transportation would work. I acted on instinct." "And you saved us," said. "You chose to risk yourself to protect others. That's not the choice a monster makes." "But what if next time I'm not so lucky? What if I make the wrong choice?" Smiled sadly. "Then you'll be like every other person who ever had power, trying their best and hoping it's enough." They spent a week hiding in the remote system, making repairs and planning their next move. The Prime Archive coordinates beckoned, but they weren't ready. Not yet. "We need more allies," Wu said at a team meeting. "More of the activated individuals. We can't do this with just a handful of people." "The Council is rounding up activated individuals as fast as they find them," said. "They're keeping them under guard." "Then we break them out," Wu said. She looked around at her team, at the Legacy Council members who had become her family. "We find every person who carries the precursor gift. We show them they have a choice, and we build something better than what came before." Min nodded. "When do we start?" "Now," Wu said, standing up despite her exhaustion. "We've been running long enough. It's time to fight back." The journey to the Prime Archive took 3 months of preparation. Wu and the Legacy Council had rescued 17 more activated individuals from various governments, building their group to nearly 30 people. Each brought unique abilities inherited from the precursors. But accessing the Prime Archive was another challenge entirely. It existed inside the accretion disk of a neutron star, a place where gravity and radiation would crush any normal ship instantly. "We need to combine our abilities," Wu said, studying the impossible location. "And navigates us through the gravitational currents. I interface with whatever precursor technology is protecting the archive. The Hive engineers build shielding strong enough to survive the radiation, and keeps us all coordinated through empathic links." "You're asking us to trust each other completely," said. "One mistake and we all die." "That's exactly what the precursors wanted to teach us," Wu replied. "Real cooperation means real trust." While they prepared, the galaxy continued to change. Earth's government had taken Wu's freely shared precursor knowledge and built medical facilities that saved millions of lives. The Empire connected their colonies with instantaneous communication, bringing families together across light years. Even species that hated each other found themselves using the same precursor technology, slowly learning to work together. But not everyone was happy. The Hive Collective continued to oppose what they called uncontrolled distribution of dangerous knowledge. Their fleet gathered near Earth, and tensions were rising toward war. Ambassador Sangwoo sent a secret message to Wu. "Whatever you're planning, do it soon. The Hive military is demanding Earth surrender all precursor technology and turn you over for trial. We're running out of diplomatic options." The modified ship they built was a miracle of cooperation. Hive collective engineering combined with precursor power systems and nomad navigation crystals. It looked like no vessel the galaxy had ever seen, a hybrid of a dozen different technologies. Min inspected their weapons. "We're not equipped for combat. If anyone intercepts us on the way to the archive." "We run," finished. This mission is about reaching the archive, not fighting. Still recovering but insistent on piloting, grinned from his seat. When has that ever stopped people from shooting at us? The approach to the neutron star was terrifying. Space itself seemed twisted, bent by gravity so intense that light curved around them. Radiation warnings screamed as they entered the accretion disk. And stood at the navigation console, his eyes glowing as he saw paths through the chaos that shouldn't exist. Left, 30 degrees, now down, now forward through that gap. Wu was connected to the ship's systems, her hands on a precursor interface. She could feel the archive calling to her, a massive presence hidden in the madness of the neutron star's orbit. There's something here, something huge. The archive revealed itself slowly. It wasn't a building or a ship. It was a pocket dimension, a space folded away from normal reality and anchored to the neutron star for protection. When their ship passed through the dimensional barrier, they found themselves in a vast chamber that shouldn't exist. The walls were covered in flowing data streams, information moving too fast for normal eyes to follow. In the center floated a crystal similar to the one Wu had seen in earlier vaults, but infinitely larger and more complex. "Welcome," a voice said, and suddenly they weren't alone. A hologram appeared, showing the same being Wu had seen in the curator's message. But this wasn't a recording. This was a living consciousness, somehow preserved for 1,000,000 years. "I am the last curator," it said. "I have waited so long for this moment, for all of you to arrive together." Wu stepped forward. "You're not just a message, you're actually alive." "In a manner of speaking," the curator said. "I uploaded my consciousness into this archive before my physical body failed. I've been alone for so long, watching the galaxy evolve, waiting for the air species to awaken." Approached cautiously, her empathic senses reading the ancient being. "You're lonely and sad, you miss your people." "Every moment of every day," the curator admitted. "But I chose this. Someone had to preserve the truth." The curator showed them everything. The full history of the precursor civilization, from its rise to its catastrophic fall. They had been glorious once, united in purpose, building wonders across the galaxy, but success bred arrogance. They began to believe they were perfect, that they didn't need growth or change. The split came slowly. One faction wanted to guide younger species carefully, helping them grow. The other faction saw younger species as inferior, things to be ruled and controlled. Arguments became conflicts. Conflicts became war, and the war destroyed everything they'd built. "We realized our mistake too late," the curator said. "We had become too specialized, too rigid in our thinking. We had lost the ability to adapt, to change, to see problems from new perspectives. So we made the air species to be what we could not." The crystal pulsed, and information flooded into all of them. Not just Wu, but every member of the Legacy Council. Each received knowledge tailored to their inheritance. Wu understood engineering at a level that made her previous knowledge seem childish. Gained complete mastery of empathic connection, able to link minds across light years, and could now navigate not just space but time, seeing paths into possible futures. The Hive engineers received construction knowledge that let them build structures that could survive anything. The warrior gained combat understanding that made her nearly unstoppable. Every person received the complete legacy of their bloodline. But with the knowledge came a terrible understanding. The Prime Archive contained weapons. Not just planet killers, but star destroyers, reality benders, weapons that could unmake entire sections of the galaxy. "This is what the Hive Collective feared," Wu said, staring at the weapon schematics. "This is what they meant by dangerous knowledge." "Yes," the curator said. "This is the test. You have the knowledge to dominate the galaxy. You could make humanity or any of your species the rulers of all others. The question is, what will you choose?" Wu looked at her friends, at the Legacy Council members who had trusted her. She thought about Earth, about the people she'd grown up with, about the galaxy that had feared and hunted her. "Show me everything," she said. "Not just the weapons, everything, all the knowledge, the peaceful technology, the dangerous technology, all of it." "Wu, wait," Min said. "If you absorb all of that at once, it could kill you." "I have to see it," Wu said. "I have to understand the full scope before I make my choice." The curator hesitated. "You are braver than I was, very well." The crystal blazed with light. Information poured into Wu's mind like a flood: medical technology, energy systems, weapons, ships, genetic engineering, dimensional manipulation, everything the precursors had ever known flowing into one human woman. It should have killed her. Her brain should have burned out from the overload. But somehow, impossibly, she held on. She saw it all, understood it all, and made her choice. When she opened her eyes, Min was holding her up. Blood ran from her nose and ears, but she was smiling. "I know what to do," she whispered. Back on the Morning Star, Wu prepared her final broadcast. She could feel the complete precursor legacy sitting in her mind, more knowledge than any one person should possess, knowledge that could make her a god. Instead, she chose to give it all away. "This is Wu Park," she said into the communication system. "I'm broadcasting from the Prime Archive. I have access to the complete precursor legacy, all their technology, all their knowledge, everything they were." She paused, knowing that every government in the galaxy was listening. "I could keep this for myself. I could give it only to humanity, make us the dominant species. But that's not what the precursors wanted. That's not what I want." She activated the archive's broadcast system, the one the curator had shown her. "I'm releasing everything, to everyone. Every species in the galaxy now has access to the Prime Archive. Medical technology, energy systems, construction methods, all of it." "Including the weapons?" asked quietly. "Including the weapons," Wu confirmed. "Because knowledge isn't good or evil. It's what we choose to do with it that matters." The broadcast went out across every communication channel in the galaxy. Within hours, every species, every government, every individual who wanted it had access to precursor knowledge. But not complete access. Wu had been clever about how she structured the release. The peaceful technology was freely available to anyone. The dangerous technology, the weapons and reality benders, required cooperation between multiple air species to unlock. "You can't build a planet killer alone," she explained to the Legacy Council. "You need an architect to design it, a hive engineer to build it, a nomad to navigate its deployment. No single species can create the worst weapons without working together, and if they're working together, maybe they'll choose not to build them at all." The galaxy reacted with shock and chaos. The Hive collective fleet that had been threatening Earth suddenly stood down, their leadership overwhelmed by the sudden access to technology they'd been trying to prevent. The Empire recalled their ambassador to study the new knowledge. Smaller species saw opportunities they'd never imagined. And slowly, grudgingly, species began to cooperate. And medical facility needed precursor power systems, so they worked with human engineers. A hive construction project required nomad navigation, so they hired nomad consultants. The technology Wu released was too vast for any one species to master alone. The Galactic Council convened again, but this time with a different purpose. Instead of debating what to do about Wu, they formed the Council of Inheritors, a new organization dedicated to managing the flood of precursor knowledge. Every activated individual was invited to join. Wu became a founding member, but she refused any leadership position. "I'm an engineer, not a politician," she said. "I want to build things, not govern people." The curator's consciousness remained in the archive, available to answer questions and provide guidance. Spent long hours talking with it, helping ease its million-year loneliness. Earth was transformed. Precursor medical technology eliminated most diseases. Clean energy ended resource wars. The colonies expanded, connected by instantaneous communication and safe transportation networks. Humanity wasn't the dominant species, but they were respected as the ones who chose to share rather than conquer. Wu stepped back from galactic politics. She returned to what she loved, teaching at the newly formed Precursor Academy where air species from across the galaxy learned together. She helped design the first joint species starships, vessels that combined the best ideas from dozens of civilizations. Min returned to Earth's Defense Academy as its commandant, training soldiers who would protect the fragile new peace. Became a pilot for humanity's new exploration fleet, flying ships that could reach places no one had ever seen. Dr. Bora continued studying the air genetics, helping newly activated individuals understand their abilities. And the other Legacy Council members became ambassadors and teachers, spreading the message of cooperation across the galaxy. They weren't perfect. Conflicts still happened. Some species tried to use precursor technology for conquest, but the safeguards Wu had built into the knowledge release made it difficult to weaponize without cooperation. Decades passed. Wu grew older, her hair turning, her face lined with age. The precursor modifications slowed her aging but couldn't stop it entirely. She watched as the galaxy slowly transformed, cooperation becoming more common than conflict. One day, she returned to the Galactic Defense Academy where it all began. The original biometric lock that had started everything was now a monument, preserved in a place of honor. Students from dozens of species visited it, learning the story of how one scared cadet had changed the galaxy. A young student approached Wu as she stood before the lock. The girl was half human and half, one of the first of a new generation born from the cooperation between species. "Professor Park," the girl asked shyly, "can I ask you something?" "Of course," Wu said. "Do you think the precursors would be happy with what we've become?" Wu smiled, thinking about the curator's lonely vigil, about the civil war that destroyed a civilization, about the test that humanity and all the air species had been given. "I think they'd be surprised," she said. "They engineered us to inherit their legacy, but we didn't become them. We became something different, something better maybe." "How so?" "Because we learned from their mistakes," Wu said. "They believed one species, one way of thinking could be perfect. We know that's not true. We're stronger because we're different. We solve problems together that none of us could solve alone." The biometric lock suddenly glowed, though no one had touched it. Words appeared on its surface in every language simultaneously. The students gasped and gathered around. "Test complete," the lock displayed. "Inheritance accepted. Build well, children of the stars." The girl looked up at Wu with wide eyes. "Did you do that?" "No," Wu said, but she was smiling. She suspected the curator had one last message from the ancient past to the hopeful future. "I think someone else wanted to say goodbye." That night, Wu stood in her quarters looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were exploring new worlds, and Hive collective engineers were building stations together. Nomads were charting paths to distant galaxies, and countless air species were working together to build something the precursors never could. She thought about that scared cadet who had touched an artifact and changed her life forever. About the choices she'd made, the people she'd trusted, the knowledge she'd chosen to share rather than hoard. "Did I do the right thing?" she wondered aloud. There was no answer, but Wu didn't need one. She could see the answer in the transformed galaxy, in the cooperation between species, in the students at the academy learning together. The precursors had given their heirs a gift and a test. Humanity had passed not by becoming powerful, but by choosing to lift others up. Not by conquering, but by cooperating. Not by hoarding knowledge, but by sharing it freely. And in the end, that was the most human choice of all.